Kaido vs Whitebeard is a video I've been waiting to make for a long time. Some people believe Marineford Whitebeard is still the strongest pirate alive, so I'm here to change their opinion. I decided to go to Marineford and go through every single attack Whitebeard has endured. I'm basically going to put Kaido in Whitebeard's shoes to see how he would do against Marineford. I'm going to look over every single attack that Whitebeard has had to take and prove that Kaido can do it much better. Basically just imagine instead of Whitebeard that it's Kaido, and this time he won't be holding back like he did against the Supernova. I'd also like to add that pre-time skip has some hockey and power scaling inconsistencies, so I will try and take those into account. Alright, so this is all based on my opinion, so I can't really say it's fact, but I think we've seen enough from Kaido to determine whether or not he would be able to handle Marineford. So let's get into it. The Marineford arc starts on chapter 552, and Whitebeard is already off to a bad start. He begins this war by removing his IV bags so that his enemies don't pity him. So not only is Whitebeard already sick, he's decided to take out the medicine that was keeping him stable. In comparison to Kaido, he is the strongest he's ever been. His hockey is top 3 in the verse, and his durability is unrivaled. So in the beginning of the fight, Kaido would be a lot better off than Whitebeard, just to start off. In chapter 553, Whitebeard summons the tsunami, at which Akiji quickly turns into ice. He then tries to attack Whitebeard for the first time and uses an attack called Ice Partisan. Whitebeard easily blocks the attack, so I think it's safe to assume these arrows would do absolutely nothing to Kaido, so we can move on from this. Now the next time Whitebeard is attacked is by Mihawk and Kizaru. However, both of their attacks get blocked by Marco and Jozu, so obviously I won't be considering these attacks because remember, Kaido is in Whitebeard's exact shoes. So in order for this debate to be fair, I won't be creating any of my own scenarios. I will only put Kaido through the exact same situation as Whitebeard. Next up, we got Akainu, who sends a barrage of lava attacks on the Whitebeard pirates, and Whitebeard catches one of them and blows it out with his breath. So considering Kaido is strong enough to slam Gear 5 Luffy's head through an entire building, I would say he can definitely handle this tiny ass meatball. Vice Admiral Ronze is the next person to attack Whitebeard, and Newgate effortlessly destroys his skull, throws him onto the battlefield like a puppy. So obviously Kaido is having the time of his life. Ronze is definitely getting one-shotted just like Luffy did, no need for an explanation. Chapter 562 and 63, we see that Squardo stabs Whitebeard, and Whitebeard literally falls to his knees. To compare this to Kaido, for starters, the story has already told us that regular blades have completely no effect on Kaido, and Squardo doesn't seem to be using armament hockey. But as I mentioned before, the pre-time skip is inconsistent with hockey, so just to be fair to Whitebeard, we'll wank Squardo and we'll say he's using armament hockey. I won't say he's using advanced hockey because that's way too much of a wank. I'm not going to stretch it that far, but it's completely possible that Squardo is using base armament hockey, and even then, it will still do nothing to Kaido. In this scene during Roof Piece, we have Zoro and Killer tag teaming a base form Kaido, and their attacks did nothing but leave a dent in his neck. So it is painfully obvious Whitebeard's durability is not anywhere near the level of Kaido's. So I think it goes without question, Kaido would absolutely foderize Squardo, and this also ties into endurance. But anyway, let's get back to Marineford. After being stabbed, Whitebeard joins the battle and proceeds to absolutely clap John Giant. So obviously Kaido is one-shotting John Giant, so we can skip past this. In chapter 567, Akiji freezes Whitebeard in a ball of ice. And this is actually pretty funny because I've heard some people say that this would be enough to stop Kaido, which is just so wrong in so many ways. Kaido can still use full transformation, Blazing Bagua, or Bora Breath. The point is, ice is not going to be enough to stop Kaido. In the end of the exchange, we see Akiji getting ready to freeze Whitebeard, but he is stopped by Jozu. So like I said in the beginning of the video, I will not be creating any new scenarios. I'm going to put Kaido directly in Whitebeard's shoes, so let's keep going. Whitebeard attempts to send a Quake attack and is blocked by Akainu, and then him and Whitebeard proceed to clash. In the anime, Whitebeard wins the clash, but in the canon manga, it was even. There was no clear winner. I believe Kaido should be able to pull off the same feat even in base form. 20 years ago, Oden was strong enough to clash with a prime Whitebeard using just Ryo, and in the manga, it was left undecided just like Whitebeard vs Akainu. The anime shows Whitebeard winning the fight, but I'm only reviewing the manga right now because I'm trying to like go over canon material. Oden proceeds to go on an adventure with Roger, returns multiple times stronger, and still loses to a 40-year-old Kaido even with advanced Conqueror's Hockey. So I think it is very likely that Kaido is more than strong enough to clash with Akainu, and honestly he can probably do it even in base form. Moving on, we see Whitebeard is feeling the effects of old age, and Akainu himself points out that Whitebeard cannot escape this, and Marco reacts saying this is what he was most afraid of, which obviously has to do with Whitebeard's sickness. This is an important detail because something else we must consider considers that Whitebeard was not even at 100% when going into his fight with Akainu. But if this were Kaido, he would still be at 100% because everything else besides Akainu would literally be ineffective on Kaido, as I just explained. So already with this fact alone, Kaido is showing better durability and better endurance all around, like not even close. Now this is where things get controversial. Akainu lands a direct hit in Whitebeard's torso and leaves a giant hole, and Whitebeard once again falls to his knees. Now some people say magma has no effect on Kaido, and other people say Kaido would have been killed. I honestly don't know how magma would affect Kaido. I don't know how Akainu would affect Kaido. At the end of Wano, we do see Kaido in Mount Fuji, but this isn't really a fair comparison because this was after he fought 15 people, so it's not really fair to compare that to a 1v1. Now the real question is, how much damage would he do to Kaido? Honestly, I don't know, because throughout this entire video, it has been painfully obvious that Kaido has better durability and better endurance than Whitebeard, but I'm not the author of One Piece, so I can't definitively say how much damage Akainu would do. What I can definitely say is that Kaido would definitely take a lot less damage than the Whitebeard. We have this next scene where they're shooting cannons at Whitebeard's head and a bunch of Marines are impaling him. I don't think I have to explain this again, but literally not a single one of these swords would do anything to Kaido. They'd probably break, and if Kaido can tank Gear 4 Luffy, he can definitely tank some cannonballs. Next time we see Whitebeard, he's fighting Kizaru, and he's standing at Whitebeard's weapon and shooting a hole through his chest. Now, would Kizaru be able to do this to Kaido? I really doubt it. For starters, full transformation has already shown better speed feats than Whitebeard, and this is literally his slowest form. He was able to match Gear 4 Snake Man while being like 100 times the size. Now I think since old Rayleigh was able to take on Kizaru, Kaido should definitely be able to keep up with Kizaru as well. Even if Kizaru is able to shoot a hole through Kaido's chest, Kaido would easily be able to keep fighting. After all we've seen from Kaido, there's absolutely no way one attack from Kizaru is slowing him down. Akainu versus Whitebeard. Alright, so it starts off with Whitebeard landing a sneak attack, and the question is, would Kaido be able to pull this off as well? And yes, obviously, because again, it's not even debatable. Kaido is faster than Whitebeard. 100% faster. No debate. Also future sight. Just throw that in there. Alright, so Whitebeard proceeds to reshape reality around Akainu's body, and since Kaido is an experienced user of advanced Conqueror's Haki, is faster than Whitebeard, and can split the sky, I think it's fair to say Kaido would definitely be able to pull off anything Whitebeard pulls off with better results. So, like I said before, Oden was already strong enough to challenge a prime Whitebeard with just Ryo. Based on those facts alone, I think Kaido has all around better attack power and attack speed than Whitebeard. So if Whitebeard is winning this exchange, I don't see why Kaido wouldn't be able to as well. Also, we have the panel where Whitebeard loses his head. Even if this could happen to Kaido, he would be in a much better shape than Whitebeard, even with half a head. In chapter 1046, Luffy punches straight through Kaido's head, and by chapter 1047, the wound is already gone, and Kaido barely acknowledges the attack. If Kaido can take advanced Conqueror's Haki straight through his head, I think he can definitely take a headshot from Akainu. At least one. In chapter 576, Blackbeard starts to challenge Whitebeard and negate his Devil Fruit. Pre-time skip Blackbeard is getting absolutely obliterated by Kaido. It would not even be a challenge. Once Blackbeard starts to lose, his entire crew proceeds to shoot and stab Whitebeard. And they're lucky Whitebeard is a dying old man, because if this were Kaido, they all would have been erased from existence. No debate. This is not debatable. Whitebeard proceeds to die while standing up and tells everyone the One Piece is real. Very heartwarming, very inspirational, but we're here for the cold, hard facts. And the truth is, based on everything we just went through in this video, there's absolutely no chance Kaido would have died by this point in the story. Even while not mentioning every single attack, Kaido has had to endure way more than Whitebeard. We also know how powerful advanced Conqueror's Haki users are, and Whitebeard didn't fight a single one, whereas Kaido fought 3, and he was holding back. At one point, he was fighting Law, Luffy, and Zoro at the same time, and he was still holding back, and he was still slaughtering them. Depending on how you look at the story, you could say Whitebeard lost, because Akainu killed Ace, and he basically killed Whitebeard. So technically, you could say Akainu won that fight. I'm gonna be real with you, right? But I didn't make this video to bash Whitebeard. I just think Whitebeard during Marineford is wanked to oblivion, and people overrate the things he did during this arc. I believe during Wano, Kaido showed the greatest feats of endurance by a long shot. I don't even think Marineford comes close. So I do believe Kaido would handle Marineford a lot better than Whitebeard, and I do think he would have been able to save Ace and come out with his life. I don't think the Whitebeard pirates would have lost if Kaido was the one leading them. But that is my opinion. If you agree with me, drop a comment down below, and if you disagree, drop a comment down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.